I'm gonna tell you about one of the most memorable conversations that I've ever had. To be candid with you, I'm not much an extrovert. I consider myself a reserved person, so I don't really feel comfortable sharing my personal stories even to my close ones. This time, however, I got to be with a friend who went through the same experience as I did, and finally, I got a chance to open up. So that day, I was catching up with a friend who is Iranian, Canadian, and somehow we reached the topic of family and identity. Since we both grew up in a traditional Asian family, we were brought up learning about values of collectivism, like how we should always think for our family or why we need to recompense our parents. However, the older we get, the more we incline to the idea of individualism. Both of us have realized that we value independence and personal choice. We love to live on our own and make the most of our time without having to think or worry too much about our family. This has been a big confusion for us. There are times when we want to follow our hearts and make our own decisions, but the thought of our family stops us from doing what we want. That was the first time ever that I found someone who shares the same experience as I did. We spent like an hour or so talking about identity and cultural differences between Western and Asian countries. Hands down, we both had a real blast sharing our experiences about an aspect of our lives that we don't often talk about. To become a global citizen, becoming a global citizen is a great positive of speaking a second language to sharpen my memory. Knowing a second language offers me numerous merits. Not only does it give me better job opportunities, but it also sharpens my memory. To have great exposure to a different culture. When acquiring a foreign language, we can have great exposure to a different culture. To advance my career in the era of globalization, candidates who speak two languages or more would have more chances to advance their career compared to those who are monolingual. At an early age, it is scientifically proven that children learn a language better at an early age to find the answer to complex problems. Children learning an additional language are able to find the answer to complex problems and normally score higher in standardized tests to bring the ease of communication. A mutual language between parties in a conversation would definitely bring the ease of communication to do away with language barrier. A global language can do away with language barrier, which has been discouraging international trade and export activities. A social butterfly. Having a social butterfly leading a talk can boost the energy of the conversation. Public speaking skills. Public speaking skills are one of the essentials for the young in the modern world. To speak our mind, your mind, to speak your mind. We need to be mindful when speaking our mind in public. The use of body language. 70% of the effectiveness in communication comes from the use of body language. To maintain a conversation, there are definitely challenges when maintaining a conversation with someone who has a big generation gap with you. To make small talk, it's not simple to make small talk, especially with introverts who are often unwilling to be involved in a conversation. To maintain eye contact, maintaining eye contact can show the confidence of the speaker when communicating with others. To engage the audience in any presentation, the presenter needs to engage the audience constantly to keep their interest. Describe a book you want to read again. You should say what the book is about, why you read it, what you learned from this book, and explain why you would like to read it again. A book series that I really like is Rich Dad and Poor Dad. I cannot remember exactly when I first read that the first book, but the first book of Rich Dad and Poor Dad gave me a new opinion about the world, how this world functions, especially how people should use their financial resources. We cannot just rely on one source of money. We should invest and we should use money wisely. I had interest in finance or especially personal finance, so that's why I chose that book, and I read a review of that book. In the review, some people wrote that this book would be the best choice of their life, so I decided to read it. From this book, I learned so much about how I can control my money through this investing, using, and saving. I really like to read it again because each time I read the book, I can realize the brand new aspect of this book. So I can review the book. I can remember what I learned from that book, and even learn more from that book. Staying healthy. In what ways do you try to stay healthy? So, as far as I know, healthy means a lot to one person. To me, healthy is to eat healthy, to live in a practical way. For example, I try so hard to go to bed early because I know staying up late is not good for our mind. We cannot focus on the following day, the next day. So personally, I encourage myself every day to sleep early, to keep my mind so clearly and strongly, so I can learn and work effectively. What do you think is more important, eating healthy or doing exercise? Eating healthy and doing exercise both require people a lot of effort and energy or even money. I believe that eating healthy is much more important than doing exercise. Every day we eat, so we should control what we eat, and we can manage which food we consume. But doing exercise is not for everyone. For example, I'm a busy person with a busy schedule, so for me it is very hard to find a spare time to do exercise. So doing exercise is not my priority. I would to eat healthy. What part of the lifestyle would you most like to make healthier? Yeah, I know that I need to change the way of I live, because sometimes I eat a lot of sweets, and my blood pressure is affected by sugar. I need to eat less sugar, because sugar in the long run, sugar makes me worse. Should everyone know history? Yes, definitely. People should know history of their town, or even their people, or even their country. Um, Story is a series of history is a series of stories. So we know about history. We like entertain ourselves by stories. And sometimes we feel so grateful when we know that this land, our land, um, was taken by tears and blood. Is it hard to no? In what ways can children learn story? Children can learn history effectively by singing. In my opinion, singing with the topic history is a wise way to help children are familiar with the story behind the song. So by learning to sing that song. Children learn to memorize the story or history behind. Is it hard to protect and preserve historic buildings? Yes, it is really hard to protect and preserve historic buildings. The reason is that buildings in many countries have changed a lot, and sometimes, in some case, historic buildings don't suit the whole scenery. Who would pay for the preservation of historic buildings? Sure that government should pay for preservation of historic buildings. The main idea for that action is that historic building is a treasure of the whole country. So the authorities should take responsible for those buildings by using taxes from all peoples in that country. Will museums be replaced by technology someday? No, I don't think so. Technology cannot replace museums because there are always some people who really love historic buildings, and they like to spend time at visiting museums spend time on visiting museums. So those people will protect museums.